What is up? If you're enjoying these morning coffees, that's what this is right now. This is 5 o'clock Mountain Time. I'm up at 5 o'clock. Some people are up at 5 o'clock. We're going over here. We're live a little bit on the TikTok, but also you can go hang out, get some comments, jump in the YouTube, and come hang with us over there. Last night or yesterday is kind of a busy day for me typically. I do an interview and then we had to pass on the motivational music hour. We had some stuff going on. I had to run, pick up a car about a half hour away and near the town that I grew up in. So I couldn't do the motivational music hour. And I feel really guilty about that because my friend Nikki and I have been doing this for a while, but through moving and through doing all these things, it's got lost in the mix because I just haven't had time to do it. And it sucks because that's something that she does for me. And I sometimes feel like I'm not giving back, which is kind of tough because I need to. There she is right there. She's in the chat room. I need to be able to do that, but it's just been, it's been rough and I know she understands. I know you understand, but it is what it is. So I did that. Yesterday we had One Drink Wednesday. We do that every Wednesday, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. There was actually a recording here in YouTube. You can go check the live video out if you want to. Jay and I do that. My friend who has a really cool car, little Acura NSX, but his is white. And he has a great podcast called Hard Parking Podcast. Really good one if you haven't checked it out. And it's a not like he calls it cars and culture, but it's mostly just him talking. And I was actually on his podcast this week too. So you can check it out and go see that. And you can hear me talk about a car that I had for about 2 weeks. Well, maybe a month. Go Giants. They got a new coach, Bob Melvin. Super cool. And I'm excited about that because it feels like they're hiring someone kind of like Bruce Bochy again. And Bruce Bochy took them to 3 World Series. But we're not here to talk about baseball. We're here to talk about what's going on right now, right? We're here to talk about what we're thinking about right now. And I think one of the things that I've been going through right now is things have been really revealing to me over the last couple weeks that I've made some choices that I have 2 choices, right? I can sit there and stew on them and be upset about them, or I can try and change the situation. And I feel really good because I have a really good support system in my house. And the number one important thing to me is my family. And I want to make sure that they're taken care of. And, you know, our financial situation changed a little bit, so we have to make some changes, right? In order to make that happen, we have to let go of some things. And it's one of those deals where I'm sitting in here and I really like the studio. I never really finished it, but I have a bunch of equipment that I got because it is a side hustle business and I can write those things off, which it'd be nice to make a little bit of money on this, but it's not quite happening. And I've been doing it for 4 years. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that like you kind of get in this comfortable spot, right? Where, okay, this works. I reach out to these people. I get them in an interview. We do things. We talk. We do all those things. And it's really cool conversation. I really enjoy it. Like this week I got to talk to my daughter and I've listened to that episode probably 3 times because it's interesting to listen to her talk and kind of where she's coming from. So we talked a lot about like what she thinks, and she does listen to me, which is funny because you don't ever think that your 10-year-old's going to listen to you. And the way that I interact with her on a daily basis, it seems like she's never really listening and never really following directions. So anyway, the comfortability of situations. So like I got comfortable with what I was doing. So I tried to change it this year. I tried to do a little bit different with my podcast because I thought, you know, I need to learn to be able to discuss what's going on. Jay and I always have this conversation. It's like, I go, people know who I am. Like you kind of know who I am. You kind of get what it is and it kind of pulls through the interview, but it doesn't really tell people how I feel. And I think that I've always felt that way because I don't want people to be kind of alienated by my thoughts because they're not that, my thoughts are important. Like the way that I do things and say things and all the things, I truly believe them, but it isn't easy being it isn't easy being a person who is trying to be positive all the time. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that. Like they could sit there and they can look at the videos that I post and the things that I say and go, that guy's just, he's got it all together. Who the hell can be that positive all the time? And lately, like on TikTok and in other apps, like it's been hard because I am really honestly working through things because a lot of things have been revealed to me through this situation. So I was thinking of something, there's a guy that I follow on TikTok that I actually went to high school with, and I didn't realize he was on there until he hopped into one of my lives one time. And I went to high school with him, and he was a nice guy, really good athlete. And I thought a lot of times about it, how you have talent, right? And then you have hard work and you have skill, and those are all things that make a good athlete. And this guy was really talented. I just kind of thought, oh, well, he's just cocky, this, that, blah, 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 blah. And I see him talking about things and saying things to me and being very encouraging to me now, 20 something years later. And it's just interesting to think, like, why didn't we think that way when we were younger? And I think a little bit more about like my life and how it's been and where I've been. And it's no secret. I've talked about it a lot, and I feel like I get really repetitive in things, but I was a pessimist, right? And that pessimism sneaks in and it gets you, and it really makes you think about all the negative things. And lately I've been in that mindset, not so much like thinking about all the shit that happens, right? All the bad things that happen, because there's a lot of things going on. It's like one thing after another. And I wish I could talk a little bit more about it, but I can't explain it. But it seems like when it rains, it pours, right? There are things that happen. It's like a snowball effect, right? Like, so, you lose your job, you lose your car, you lose your house, you lose like in a succession, right? And that's not happening to me, but it could if I don't do what I need to do. Like, these are all the things that you have to kind of prepare. You have to plan, right? And he said something to me a couple months ago that just kind of stuck with me. And it's a quote that said, nothing changes if nothing changes. Nothing happens unless nothing happens, right? So you could sit there and be reactive, right? Because a lot of times we're reactive. Something happens, then I react. And that's how I feel right now. I'm being more reactive. At the same time, I'm trying to be proactive, right? So I'm reacting to the situation, but how am I reacting to the situation? And we have to think through how and what is the best way to react to that situation. What can you do to fix the situation? So you're reactive to it, and I've been reactive for a while, but then I'm like proactive. So I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about a lot of things, and she was like, you have to think about it this way. And I do think about it this way, but it's like, I think one of the things is we get in this repetitiveness of, this is happening, we're going to react this way, and then we go back to, this is how I feel about it. So being reactive, it's like, let's say someone stole your cookie, right? So what's the first thing you do? Who stole my cookie? You get all pissed off about it. And it's like, then you start to think about it. It's like, well, they stole my cookie because either, like, you start to figure out why they stole your cookie. And you could say, well, they stole their cookie because they were hungry. They stole your cookie because they're just an asshole. They stole your cookie because of whatever. But then you're like, well, maybe they needed that cookie. Maybe they needed it more than me. Maybe I didn't need it. But there's reasoning behind every crappy thing that happens to you. And I think if we can get past the fact that we're just reacting to the situation and get past that crappiness part, we're going to feel way better about things. So I've always tried throughout my whole life to, I've been a reactive person, but not that reactive. Like 7th grade. I'm in 7th grade math class, and there's this kid who, you guys know that like I'm a big dude. So like I'm 6'3". I was probably in high school or in middle school. I was probably 6'1" and over 200 pounds, 220 pounds today. Okay. And there's this kid that's, 5'11", not even 5'11", like 4'5", smart ass little kid, whatever. And they sit there and they talk shit to the big guy. It's like they sit there and they like pick on you because you can't do anything to them. So they'll run their mouth at you, blah, 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 blah. And you're always like, oh, just turn the other cheek. Don't say anything. You say that to your kids. You tell people that, and then like you do turn the other cheek because, well, what's going to happen if I react to it, right? Like, what can I do? Like, the kid calls me fat, I turn around, pop him in the face. Like, that's reactive, right? Or just kind of let it go, and he doesn't know any better. And I think that that's one of the things that we sit here and we do is we try to tell people over and over again, don't do that, just let it go, let it fly, blah, 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 blah. Easier said than done. So this kid walks into class and he says something to me, and he's been saying something to me over and over and over and over and over. And he's got like he's a hemophiliac. Okay. So like if you hit a hemophiliac or if you do anything to a hemophiliac, he bleeds, right? If he starts bleeding, it's really hard to stop him bleeding. They don't have very good blood clotting. And like everyone knows this, but he never talks about it and he never says anything. But like he just, I feel like he was just like hiding behind it, right? And then doing that over and over again. And I was a peaceful person unless I was like on the football field when we're wearing helmets and pads and everything is like, this is fair. You're out here to get knocked down. That's what it is. But in real life, I know that, this big fist, if it hits someone, it could do a lot of damage, especially if they're smaller than you. So you never hit anyone. You never do anything like that. And he said one thing to me and I reacted. Boom. Pushed him against the chalkboard. But the funny thing was he hid behind that thing. Like no one, like they think that it's okay to do something and then you push the wrong buttons, you poke the bear at the wrong time and what happens, right? Reactive. I went to the principal's office. He got in trouble. I got in trouble. We both had to do something. So now then what happens, right? You go home, you get in trouble and then it changes. So there's different ways to go through it, but I think about that situation and what happened. What did that teach me? And everything that you've been through has taught you something. And how you react to it will have a direct reflection of what it is. So I reacted that way. I went home, I got in trouble. And it seems like this didn't happen. Like this isn't like a repeating pattern, but it's happened a couple times in my life. There's another guy who did the same thing. Like the reaction that I got when I was playing football, I had another kid when I was in high school. Okay, I was a freshman. At this point, I'm pretty big. I'm bigger than half the seniors that are playing offensive line on the team. I'm pretty decent. Like I'm not like bragging or whatever, but I'm to this point where I'm going to start on the varsity as a freshman. Like there's 3 games left. We're going to the playoffs. There's one guy who isn't kind of pulling his weight. He's not very big. They need someone to take his place. I'm getting groomed to be this freaking starting tackle. I'm going to be the starter for the next 3 years. But this kid comes in. He says something to me. He swings at me. I grab him. I throw him on the ground, hold him down till the teachers show up because I can do that because I'm a big dude. He's a little dude. Hold him down and then go. And then we both go to the principal's office because we're fighting, supposedly. I'm not fighting. I'm just trying to hold myself together, And it's kind of funny because I'm doing that. And so then I get sent to the principal's office. Now, the principal says, why were you doing this? And my response as a freshman in high school, newly freshman, because it's football season, right? It's the beginning of the school year, and Principal Royce doesn't know me very well. And he says, why were you doing that? And I said, because he fucking hit me. My reaction to that caused me to be suspended for the rest of the day because I said the F word in the principal's office. Like, this is how bad things were back in the day. Like, this wouldn't happen today. So I get that. I get sent to the principal's office. I get sent home for the rest of the day. I'm home for the rest of the day for defending myself, for not trying to get my butt kicked while some kid's punching me. And what happens? Come back to school the next day. Go to school, get to football practice. Hey, you're in practice over there. They stick me back with the JV. Practicing with the varsity, on the scout team, getting ready to start, all that stuff. I was probably going to start the next game. Back to the JV. What did that teach me? don't say the F word in the principal's office. Also taught me a lot of lessons, you know. It's funny, Nikki's talking here. I don't know if, Nikki, I don't think you're an Eagles fan. Maybe you are. But the guy that I would have been blocking for that year ended up being the backup to Donovan McNabb for quite a few years on the Eagles. He's a backup quarterback, AJ Feely. So I went to high school with AJ, and I was like, oh, man, I get to do this. Like, I could have talked about blocking for an NFL quarterback. But it ended up not happening because of a choice that I made, a reaction that I had. So trying to figure out how to change that reaction, how not to like just blow up about it is really tough. And a lot of times I feel like we are, what's up, Shelly? How you doing? A lot of times, sorry, talking over on TikTok too here. We're live on YouTube. If you have a YouTube account, come over and follow Shaping Success with Tankersley. We're over here talking. That's right. That's what I thought. Steelers. Yeah, so I mean that was really cool situation that I could have been in, and it could have changed the trajectory of certain things. You know, and up until that point, there was only one other guy who was a freshman who started on varsity, and it was the year before. And I would have been, you know, one of those guys. So it was kind of cool that I had the opportunity, but I lost it. And then the next year was, you know, whatever. I was a starter. I started the next year. We went to state championship. Lost by 1 point. The following year, we went to state championship and won. And then my senior year, all the talent was gone with the exception of a couple people, which didn't dictate that, but it was a tougher situation because we lost those really good athletes, and it's kind of a down year. So I learned though that, like, you know, you don't do that. It's one of those things. And it's funny though, because I can tell you right now, kids get away with that stuff in school right now. Kids get away with that because that's why I'm not a teacher. I was a teacher, I was a coach, and there is no respect anymore. And so you could go into the principal's office and say that, and they're like, "Oh, how do you feel about that? Why would you say something like that?" You know, okay, well, here's a piece of candy and go back to class. You know, like this is where we're at. So anyway, that's where I'm at today. It's like you have to be willing to make that change. Now I can sit here and I can allow these people to sit here and over drag me down. They may not be trying to do it, but that's what they're doing. And my reaction to it is making me feel in a negative headspace. I'm being proactive. I'm doing what I can. So whatever happens in the next couple weeks or whatever happens in the next month or the next 2 months will be something that will help me to be better. So that's what I want you to think about. Okay. Very nice, Indy. Thanks for an Indy. Thank you for hanging out here. So we're going to do this again. Like we're going to do this every morning over here on YouTube because I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel over here. And that's what we want to do. So, remember that's kind of where it's at. Like if you want to come hang out, this is kind of like a daily thought process of what I'm going through, what I'm doing, where I'm going. You kind of get an insight to why I think the way that I think. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, which you've been kind of seeing on TikTok lately, because I'm trying to get through it. And I love y'all. Shell Bell. Awesome. I kind of figured that's who it was, but it's always tough to figure out. Like we're looking over here on TikTok. What's up, Silly Goose over on TikTok? We're over here live on YouTube right now, and that's where it's at. You know, like we're trying to find a way to react to things differently and figure a way around it, and nothing changes unless nothing changes. Nothing happens unless nothing happens. You have to be willing to go out there and do the work. Nikki's talking about unicorn farts over here. So if you guys haven't, you got to go follow Nikki. You got to understand where this is coming from, because if you know, you know. But anyway, I have got to go get the kids ready for school. Coffee's gone, and we'll catch up tomorrow at 5. It's funny, I woke up this morning, coffee's almost gone, but I woke up this morning and I have super sinus issues that are really annoying, and I didn't know if I didn't really feel very good, but then everything starts draining and I feel better. But we'll make it work. We'll get through it. I also think there's a lot of stress going on, which doesn't really help with with school or with work and things like that, like with feeling well. Like when you're stressed out, your body doesn't want to repair as fast. So need to eat my vegetables, need to get my energies in, but time to go get the kids up, get ready to go, get moving for the day. So I hope you guys had a good time. Remember, nothing happens unless nothing happens. It's up to you to make that change in your life, and it is not easy. So I think I'll go have some bacon. You guys have an awesome day.